know when your drains don't flow. And Mike Milbury joins us from his sunroom on Cape Cod on the Harbor One hotline this morning. Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's happening, guys?
You could actually weigh in on something that we were talking about before the break. You've been booed. You've seen players.
You remember that, Greg? It was with fondness.
You've been. Someday I'll tell you what my late father Barry Hill used to refer to you at times when you were playing for the Bruins. I can't probably in today's culture. I can't. He changed your name, Mike, to a different name.
Oh,
but I probably can't. I probably can't.
Really?
Say that.
Please don't.
Now I'm intrigued.
I can't say it in this day and age. But so you've seen players get booed. We were talking about Mac Jones and the suggestion that maybe Patriots fans are spoiled a little bit. But do you think that there are players where the Bailey chant or Mac getting booed? Are there players that can have an effect on?
No question about it. I mean, if you're a human being and you're singled out in front of 13,000 people, you're definitely going to feel it. Your confidence is going to be shaken. You have to be something really special not to be impacted by that. It's a hard thing to deal with, and you're right. I have dealt with it. Fortunately, not too often, but often enough to know the feeling, and it's rattling. I mean, your confidence gets shaken, and it impacts your play, no question.
Yeah, it was interesting to me because Wiggy said the exact same thing, and I, whether it's NHL or NFL or whatever, I think, professional athlete guy, yes, your coach not having confidence in you can have an effect on your play and how you are mentally, but I would think that you're able to kind of avoid the noise, but I guess in a lot of cases, no.
And to a certain extent, you need to avoid being impacted by the noise. But when it becomes so centralized, focused on you, then, you feel small and you feel like it impacts you in some emotional way that will cause you to be distracted in a way that will affect your play, and you won't be as good a player. It's that simple an equation.
Mike, now I know it's a little different in both sports, whether it's the quarterbacks and kind of having, not really naming a starter, similar to what maybe the Bruins are doing, but you can get away with it in hockey with not really naming a number one goalie. I know we continue to talk about this, but it seems like as we start to progress early in the season, it kind of seems like Linus might be running away with this. And when does Montgomery just say, you know what, he's the one, and sways the back?
There's no rush for this because, they're in surprisingly good position right now. I mean, I don't think anybody saw them as a 6-1 team at this point, and nobody saw. I certainly didn't. Ullmark playing this well. This is a different goalie. His ability to focus in now is uncanny. His penchant for making saves, big saves at critical times, has been tremendous through the first 7 games of the season. I can't tell you how much more confident I feel in this guy. And so I don't think he has to make any decisions, Montgomery. I think he just lets it ride, especially feeling this pumped up over the start of the season, knowing that Marchand is coming back early, knowing that McAvoy is now starting to come into the mix within the next month or so. It's a real bonus for this team that Ullmark has come to play the way I guess they expected him to play when they traded for him from Buffalo a year ago. And he was okay last year. Don't get me wrong. He was good enough in Buffalo. This is a new goalie. This is a goaltender that's matured, that's found a way to get himself to a different level, and good on him because it's been fun to watch him play. I mean, I think every game that he's played in, when the score has been close and the Bruins needed a save, he's made it. And I didn't expect to see that from Ullmark at this stage of his career. I applaud him for making the leap to the next level.
I know it's early, but is it possible that a coaching change was enough to get this team playing the way they're playing right now?
It's a question that I don't think I can answer fully because I'm not around it enough. But it's a different approach. Everybody's going to get a pat on the back. Brandon Carlo's coming back, and Jim Montgomery's saying, "Geez, he's a really good hockey player. We got to get him back. He's really something special." Then Marchand's going to be back earlier, and we love 63, and we can't wait to see him come back. I mean, it's a clearly the nice guy attitude that I see from Jim Montgomery. Has that made all the difference? It was a pretty good team, an okay team before. In my mind, Allmark's development or advancement, or however you want to term his progress, is huge. Secondly, the presence of Krejci coming back has led to a balance in the top six forwards. I mean, his pace isn't what I'd like it to be. It looks like he's a little bit slower, and maybe that's just a matter of finding the rhythm of the NHL as opposed to the league in his home country. But his ability to make plays, see Pasternak, get him the puck when he's open he's a really world-class player. It's not the first line with Bergeron and the second line with Krejci. You can't have a second line when Krejci and Pasternak are on it. Whoever's riding shotgun on the left side, it's a top line in the National Hockey League. And Krejci's presence and Allmark's development, for me, are the keys. Coaching change, sure. Attitudinally, I think it's different. Seems like people are a little bit more confident, but that happens when you win. When you win, you get a little bit of a swagger. Is his system, so-called system, that much different? Is it so much more innovative? I don't know, but he's got a different handle on it, and that makes a difference. People are feeling good about themselves right now.
Mike, I think one of the complaints you had of the team last year was the physicality and the lack of it for the Bruins team. You look at Connor Clifton on Tuesday; he showed great physicality. Do you see an improvement with the team overall?
No, I don't. I don't think they're that physical. I don't think they're intimidating. I think that Connor Clifton has had a great start, and his hit on Rupe Hintz. And what a great name that is, Rupe. Huh? I love it. Anyway, Rupe was roped into a heavy body check by Clifton, a good, clean check. And then he fights Colin Miller right after that and lands an uppercut that puts Miller down. So it was great to see Clifton play that way again, because he's played that way, not a big guy, but he's played that way with enthusiasm and energy. I don't see a lot of that amongst the forwards. I mean, Greer started out that way. He's missed a game, I guess, because of whatever reason. But I don't see a lot of physicality on this team, and that's not the way I'm going to envision them. This is not the big bad Bruins. This is slick, a bunch of slick willies.
Mike, when you talk about the addition of David Krejci, do you think the resurgence of Taylor Hall is because of him, or is it just maybe it seems like Taylor Hall might be just doing a little bit more offensively this year because of the system, or is it more about the addition of Krejci?
I would say that, well, first of all, this is a guy that was picked first overall in the draft. Tremendous talent, and has been at times unable to live up to that talent, unable to accomplish what he certainly is an MVP of the league. You have to be careful what you're saying about him, but he doesn't impress me with, I'm coming to play every night. I mean, some nights early on, it looked like he was, the old Taylor Hall, just a little disinterested and not as visible as he should be in the last 4 or 5 games. Maybe because of the shoulder problem he's gotten past. He's become a new player. And he's one of those guys, when you're first overall, everybody, of course, is focused in on you. You're the guy that everybody wants to talk to, everybody expects them to do something special. But he does. I don't think he likes that. I think he'd rather be, on the sideline doing things that he does the way he wants to do it, and let the attention be on Bergeron, on Krejci, on Pasternak, on Charlie McAvoy, and Hampus Lindholm and Allmark. I think he's better psychologically in the role that he's in now, and I think it fits him. And he's played really well in the last few games. And I just hope, for his sake and for the Bruins' sake, that he finds a level of consistency that matches his abilities.
Mike, we'll be asking about Pasta as he continues to roll or until the Bruins pay him, but he's been playing out of his mind still. What is contributing to that, or do you think he's just playing harder maybe for the bag of cash that he's chasing?
You know, he's gotten to the level where nothing's going to upset him. I mean, a maturity level in his game. I talked to Billy Jaffe yesterday for a while about him, and he mentioned something that I thought was interesting. Like, if you watch Pasta, he used to like do the crazy celebrations after every goal. Now there's none of that. It's like sort of, okay, I've done it again. Let's win this game. And apparently he's come back in better shape. His focus is intense. Would some of that be because of him trying to get a new contract? Of course, but I think more importantly, it's just the fact that he's got to the midsection of his career and he's gotten through some of the things that might distract him, and now is focused on just being the best player that he can be, and that's a good place to be.
Mike, we always talk about a guy like Pasta and Bergeron and obviously Marchand. For this team to go deep and be successful, is it more about the Charlie Coyles, the Jake DeBrusk, the Taylor Halls, those guys to, like you brought it up, consistently show that they can play at that higher level?
It's a good point. I don't think the third line, and I think Charlie Coyle is perfectly suited as an NHL third line player and one of the best at his position. That hasn't gotten to the point where I'd say, geez, we've got depth there. Fourth line's been okay. You know, Foligno is, give this guy kudos, give Nosek kudos, and whoever rides on the other side of that line, they've been okay. They've been fine. The third pairing on defense has been a little scary for me at times. So those are the easiest problems to fix, but they are issues. And you're going to see some improvement on the defense when McAvoy comes back, of course. But they need to get somebody like Smith going, like he can play. He's been a good player, but he's not playing very well now. And I'm not sure Zacha is going to cut the mustard as a third line player with Coyle. I don't know if he's got the defensive awareness, and you have to have that as a third line player. So they've got some minor tweaks to make, but you know, right now I'm starting to believe a little more than I thought I would, and that's interesting.
Well, I mean, how much of that has to do with, in your mind, your belief factor in the fact that you looked at this team the first couple of months of the season without McAvoy, without Marchand, and they seem to be getting it done. I mean, is that a factor for you?
Of course it is. It's you can do that without your best players. We're all talking about. I was talking about being like third in the division, or in a position where they could possibly get home ice advantage. They're the best team in the league on paper now. They're 6-1. It's a remarkable thing, and not many people saw it coming. I mean, I watch obviously a lot of hockey games and listen to a lot of hockey broadcasters, and there's not anybody that would have said this team's going to be 6-1 coming out of the gate without McAvoy, without Grzelcyk, without Marchand. It wasn't in the cards. But when you can only go by what you see, and what I see is a much better team than I thought I was going to see, and with these players in reserve, you have to say, well, your impression of this, the possibility of where they might go, is different.
All right, before you go, you've been a coach and a GM. You've had to make this decision when it comes to goaltenders and others. If you were Bill Belichick, would you go Zappe or would you go Mac Jones on Sunday?
Well, I'd like to be able to rewind the clock if I'm Bill Belichick on the last game. This was, he's been so great for so long. I just wish this would never have happened. I wish Brady and Belichick had retired together, and we wouldn't be talking about this. But I mean, you got to give a nod to somebody. And Mac Jones they invested a lot in him, and he had a good year. He stumbled out of the gate this season, and then all of a sudden he gets hurt, and Zappy, I don't know if he's more marketing or really if he's any good. But don't worry, be Zappy, right? Like you can't get any better than that. And right now, he might not be so happy, and neither is Mac Jones, and they're not in a good place. And I think pinpointing who's going to be the starter, being Mac Jones, is the way to go. I think that's as good as they're going to get. And is it good enough? We'll see.
Yeah. No, it's I mean, I guess you were talking about Taylor Hall, or you can look, or a Johnny Hockey, or somebody who is like is a clear talent, and then the organization theoretically does something to screw that up mentally or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's all Wiggy knows. We're just human beings, and we're impacted by stuff. And the higher level you get of talent, and the more responsibility you have, sometimes you can still be fragile emotionally. And it looks like Mac Jones. He's just a young kid, not used to this level of attention. Maybe he's done things that he shouldn't have done in terms of getting more focus on himself, but it seems like he's intent on playing the game properly. He works at it, and this, he didn't deserve any of this. Nobody deserves this. This is a really bad hand to be dealt, but dealt with, you have to do it. You have to figure a way around it and come through it. Otherwise, he'll be wearing another jersey or looking for an insurance salesman job soon.
All right, Mike. Always great to talk to you. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
All right, kid. See ya.
All right.